Hi everyone, my name's Alice from DiscoverEI, and in this short video we're exploring another Power BI DAX pattern for Enviros. So this time we're exploring what patterns we can use to analyze fauna survey data to calculate species abundance and richness. So let's imagine that I'm an ecologist who's completing an ongoing fauna survey, and I want to track both species richness, so how many different types of species were there, but also species abundance. How many individuals did we observe per species? So I've imported my data into Power BI, but I'm a little bit lost as to where do I start. So let's take a quick look at our data. You can see that we've got a very simple data model here. We've got our fact table, which is our fauna observations, and our two-dimension tables, dates and fauna species detailed. Let's just take a quick look at the fauna observation data here. And you can see that we've got data for date, site, scientific name of the different species, and also the number of observations for each site visit. So if we go back to Power BI, what we want to use today is explore DAX aggregators. So aggregators allow us to very easily aggregate our data, whether it be to count it, to sum it, to average, to min, to max. And we're going to start by exploring probably one of the simplest DAX patterns out there to calculate the sum of a column. So this is to calculate species abundance. So to insert a DAX measure, we select the table that we want to store the measure. For me, it's fauna observation. And we can right-click on the table and click New Measure. And we can start writing. So I'll zoom in a little bit here. Anything to the left of the equal sign is what we want to call our measure. So this measure we want to call species abundance. And anything to the right of the measure is the DAX expression. So we want to use the DAX expression sum to add up all of the numbers in the column. So this will be all of the numbers in our fauna observation, the number of observations column. And this is to calculate species abundance. So if we press enter, we've calculated our DAX measure, but the DAX measures, they're virtual calculations. We can't see the output of these calculations until we bring them into a visual on our report canvas. And the easiest place to analyze and debug and check out our DAX is using a table or a matrix visual. So I'm going to bring in my species information into my rows. I've just got a hierarchy here of class, family, and common name. And then let's go ahead and bring this DAX measure into my values. So we can see that across all of the date ranges, we have 21,212 observations of amphibians, and then we can break this down a little bit more. So you can see here that we've calculated our species abundance. The next DAX pattern that we're going to explore is distinct count. So distinct count counts up all the distinct entries in a column. And this function is what we'll use to calculate species richness. So if we remember back to our scenario, species richness is how many different types of species were there. So let's go ahead and insert another DAX measure into my fauna observation table here. And this time we want to call our measure species richness. And we're using our function distinct count to count the number of distinct values in a column. So we want to count the number of distinct values in our fauna observation column for the scientific names. This is our species that we observed. And if we bring this into our visual here, we can see that for species richness, even though we observed 21,212 count or sightings of amphibians, we only observed 22 different types of species of amphibians in our fieldwork. So there you have it. That's how you calculate species richness and abundance in Power BI using DAX. But it's always good to use visuals to see our DAX in action. So while matrices are really good for understanding the calculations and just truth checking the answers, visuals such as time series charts or bar charts are really great at visualizing this data which we've just calculated. So here we can start with just a simple, I've got a clustered bar chart here, and on the y-axis I'm going to bring in my hierarchy, and we'll start with maybe species abundance first to the x-axis. So here we can see that just a much more visual or graphical representation of these DAX measures. And very similar, we can bring our hierarchy onto the y-axis, and then maybe the species richness onto the x-axis as well. And we can drill into this data as well just to find out a little bit more information about it. So we can have a look and see what the most common types of species we have out in the field. You can see that the banded honeyeater, we have observed over 7,700 different sightings of the banded honeyeater. And birds also have the greatest number of species observed as well out of all of the different classes. So I hope you enjoyed this DAX pattern exploring how we can analyze fauna surveys by calculating species abundance and richness. If you're keen to learn more about how you can visualize your environmental data in Power BI, then be sure to sign up for our Power BI for Enviros monthly meetup group. Keep following along on our blog and YouTube channel, or reach out to one of the team at DiscoverEI to learn more about our training and consulting packages. So thanks so much for watching, and have fun playing around with DAX in Power BI.